Hello, good morning. Hope you are doing super well. I am talking right away because I find it so funny when streams start and people are just sitting there like, but good morning. Hope you're doing well, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I see Kyle in the chat, 50 minutes. Let's make the most of it. We are definitely going to make the most of it. That is for sure. We got Taylor. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Jim. A couple other folks in the chat. I am really excited about today's stream. What we're going to be covering is the GenerateBlocks 1.7 alpha release, and this release brings a ton of really awesome features to GenerateBlocks. It's making this kind of more akin to what I came from in the Oxygen ecosystem. Full flex controls, ton of other sizing controls that should have been there, from the outset. I think like max width and some parameters like that, which is awesome. So a lot less need for things like for helper classes for max width and stuff like that. And I think there are quite a few other things as well, such as accordions and tabs and other components that have been built in that are super flexible. And I've heard through the grapevine specifically from Kyle that they are extremely flexible. Yes, Kyle, for sure. The tab sticker is right there, roughly. I don't even know where I'm pointing. Let's see. It is right there. So if you have a cool sticker you want to get on my board, message me and we'll get it up there. Yeah, so today we are going to be covering all of that. I'm not sure exactly how far we're going to get, but I did find quite a few cool examples that we can kind of build with the new interface, including a tab layout and an accordion layout and that kind of thing. So we'll see how far we can get in the time, and if it's interesting, we'll keep going. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Good morning, Max. I don't know what you mean, Kyle. Did I say tab? Yeah. From Berlin. Awesome. Welcome, Max. A tab layout. Yes, indeed. No, I'm not going to copy yours, but I'm definitely going to do some layouts for sure. It's been a little while since I've streamed. I last saw that it was about 2 months ago. Had you asked me, I would have said it was a few weeks ago. But I have been Milan. Oh, from Florida. Awesome. Hello. Another Floridian. Milan, Italy. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys and gals. Yeah, so I've said before I've been meaning to stream more regularly, but I think I kind of got hung up in the later part of last year with wanting to make every stream and every video the most profound thing ever, which I'd like to change. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit. It takes a few minutes for everybody to kind of hop in and for YouTube to push out all the notifications, so kind of just warming up here a little bit. Good morning from NM, I assume New Mexico. Welcome. Beautiful part of the country over there. Taylor, we thought you died. You know for a fact I didn't. Talk to you every single day, bruv. Hopefully you guys are excited for this update. I haven't actually looked really into this update at all since I've made that video on the 1.7, changes that were coming. But it's been, when was that video? Maybe a month ago? So a lot has changed. And I actually intentionally didn't look at this for a number of reasons because I wanted to explore it, obviously on stream. But I also felt like the, oh, Kyle, it hid your message because it had a bad word in it. I just wanted to kind of have a fresh look at this. So it's going to be really cool. I had to update some content on this page that I'll show you here in just a second. So I had to briefly look at it. But yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. Let me go ahead and pull up the actual release article. And I wanted to start off by taking a look at that. I'm sure you've probably already seen this, but I still think that it's worth looking through. So we're about 5 minutes into the stream. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. You guys are all here early. I appreciate that very much. And I don't want to hold you back on that front. So let's go ahead and... Oh yeah, Taylor, your sticker is up there too. You have 2 of them, I believe. Of course, my email and my phone has been silent all morning and until now. Okay, let's go with this. And I want to turn this back on. There we go. Okay. So this is the release article, and hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yes. Okay. This is the release article, so we're not going to read this, word for word, but essentially I just wanted to kind of go through the main sticking points here. And 120 pull requests, 10,000 lines of code updated, making GenerateBlocks even more streamlined than it already was. That's impressive because, as we all know, it's already super streamlined. So big changes, accordions and tabs. So this is going to be pretty cool because, of course, one of my earliest GenerateBlocks videos was on creating custom tabs. So this is going to be a welcome change because it's just built right in. It's going to be super flexible, and native is usually always a good thing. So it uses our core blocks, containers, and buttons to build a powerful accordion. So it's just really awesome because there's not another new element. It's something that kind of refactors what's already there. So that's super cool. And then we make fewer decisions to provide you with more possibilities. To create, let's see, their revision. I don't think I've ever read this. To create a plugin that introduces the minimum number of new blocks, which can be combined to create any design that we could hand code with HTML and CSS. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's, I mean, hitting the nail on the head, Kyle. The only block plugin that makes less blocks. Some of the other ones that are out there are like, there's 40 blocks, there's 50 blocks. It's crazy. This, as you can imagine, is no easy task. Oh, by the way, hopefully everybody has a drink of some description. I got my iced coffee going here. Hopefully you have your tea or coffee or soda or whatever you drink. Gotta have a drink during a stream. Water, eh? I'm not quite at that point of the day yet. I just finished my Coca-Cola. Nice. So, it's funny, Taylor, because when I was with you, I had the, what was it? Pepsi Max Vanilla. And that was so good. And I haven't been able to find it at all here in the US. Granted, I haven't really looked for it, but yeah, it was good. Iced coffee for sure. Awesome, Tim. Pepsi Max Vanilla is not gross. It's a Southern thing, Kyle. You should love it. It's the like Southern cola. Vanilla Coke is bumping. Yeah, I would definitely go vanilla Coke. Also, those fancy Coke machines, they have like the vanilla Dr. Pepper, and that shit is bomb. Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Dr. Pepper, Texas. Puddings are the bomb. Indeed they are. Jim says, better to have the proper tools to build what you want than too much choice that doesn't provide granularity. I 100% agree with that. Give me just enough to have the power and don't be too opinionated. Let me kind of handle the rest, and that's what I'm after. So the decision we took first to developing the container block was to add an inner div GB inside container and control its positioning with hidden CSS. So that is definitely something that we've touched on before. And in fact, there's a tutorial coming tomorrow here on my channel. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and get subscribed. And that is for in fact, I think I have it right here, for a simple pop-up. And this was a little bit different to get working in GenerateBlocks specifically because of that inner div. So because of that, the little overlay here was on the wrong class. So the JavaScript, framework that I used wasn't able to, close on background clicked because of that inner container div. So that's a small little thing that, you'll be able to see that tomorrow. My phone just sent me the notification. That's crazy. We're almost 10 minutes in. Hopefully that pops in, but we're already rolling, so we're going to keep going. So that the inner container thing is just a small, improvement, but it can be pretty profound in the long run. Obviously, you have an extra div for every single container across your site. So in 1.7, we reversed that by removing the inner container, removing the legacy container block option, providing a block toolbar shortcut for adding an inner container. Cool. What happens to my legacy blocks? This update will only apply to new containers. Cool, so it's backwards compatible. That's fine. There's a conversion system, okay. We do our best to recommend the best course of action. That's cool. It makes sense why this update took so much longer now that these kind of conversions were in place. Goodbye, buttons block. With the new container block and addition of Flexbox, it made perfect sense to deprecate the buttons block. Previously to 1.7, adding a buttons block to the page actually added 2 blocks, the button container. Yep, sure did. Existing button blocks inside of a now deprecated button block will remain. Now adding a button only adds a singular button. You have the option from the blocks toolbar to add a button container. Okay, cool. So we can definitely work with that, of course, because now we have flex controls. So sizing, all this stuff is great. Max width is something I need so often, and for a long time, I would just have to use a helper class or do some other hacky method. And one thing I just noticed, there's rim units in here. Was that a late addition, Kyle? I don't recall in the earlier versions having seen that, and we all kind of talked about that a little bit. That's pretty cool. So min, max, no rim on typography. Oh, bummer. That's not ideal. Okay, so still kind of what we discussed before. Rim on sizing, yeah, that's cool. We'll definitely, I'll use it. I'll take advantage of it, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, we know we can create pixel perfect length. So here's the meat and potatoes, the Flexbox control. So this is awesome. We kind of already touched on this in my earlier video, but we're going to explore that much more in depth today. Everyone email GB and ask for rim on typography. Yeah, for sure. We definitely need to do that. Flexbox has been at the heart of GenerateBlocks from the very first release. It's how the grid block, yes, indeed. Okay, that's perfect. Layout position, awesome. So this position function is really cool. There's a lot of use cases where you would have to write some CSS manually to achieve like overlapping layouts or, kind of smaller things like that. But now we can control those positions. Overflow is awesome. So we can do a side-to-side scroll, like a simple pricing table. Auto margins, that's great. We're going to, cool. That's about it. Hey, look, it's Kyle. Add rim on all typography. That's hilarious. Okay. Type in units. Yeah, that's awesome too. All right. So what I want to do is go ahead and just build a couple of things and play with this and see, how everything looks, how it feels, how it functions. Yeah, dead horse indeed. So one thing is in my GenerateBlocks and GeneratePress course, called Generate Made Easy, one thing that we covered was building these top bars here, and it was really clunky to do that. I'm not even gonna lie, that was probably one of my least favorite tutorials in the course, but I'm going to be redoing all, pretty much all of the content in there, so be sure to check that out. But essentially this top bar is not hard to create with the flex layout, but with the grid and the way that you kind of had to build the grid before, it was really clunky. So this is so much more simple because really you just need a div to wrap, each of your items here. You could just use the new gap controls and then you don't have to worry about margins and percentages and any of that kind of stuff. And then to space these two containers out, you can just use the flex space between parameter. So if you don't know what I mean, that's okay, because I'm going to go ahead and build this as one of our first examples. I have a couple more from content actually on the World of Warcraft website, but they have a really cool tab layout that I thought would be fun to replicate, and also an accordion, as well as a couple other layouts I just found that would be far easier to do with Flex than it was before in the previous grid controls. So let's go ahead and drop right into this. I think this site actually has an element already. Top bar, yeah, I think I just disabled this. So what I'm going to do is I already have most of the pieces here. And actually, let me take a look at the interface real quick because I haven't even done that. One thing I noticed right away is it looks like these icons and like the font is just so much crispier. It's really nice looking. It just looks so buttery. Really, really nice. And also these icons over here on the right are so much darker. Grid, oh, I'm still in a grid. Okay, so I didn't recognize this panel specifically. Layout controls. Let me go to a container instead of a grid, so perhaps it's a little bit different. Remove container condition, that's all been there. Use legacy layout system. Let me go ahead and just delete all of this, and I'm gonna start anew with the brand new container, so I'm not, looking at some old thing. So this popped up, insert inner container. Use this button to add a center to inner container block for your content. We recommend this for top level containers so your content does not span the entire width of your screen. Okay, cool. So that was already there from before, which I recall, but I don't remember having that little pop-up, so that's kind of nice to show you exactly what you're there. Yeah, Jim, I kind of felt like the legacy container wasn't going to have the new controls, which is why I just went ahead and deleted all that. So we have block, flex, and inline. So for me, I'm probably pretty much only ever going to use flex. There's almost no other case where I would need to use anything else except maybe inline flex. But for the most part, I'm just going to use flex and use the controls down below. So position relative. Interesting. There's no other option except relative positioning? Huh. Maybe maybe I have to set a flex position first. Let's go back to the parent container display of flex. I hope there's going to be a way to just automatically set everything to flex. I wonder if there's a default we can set, because if not, I am going to find a code solution to do that, because I'm pretty much always going to want this to be flex. Damn, so what I was just saying earlier about being able to do different overflow layouts and stuff like that, using like position, absolute, and relative, that seems really silly. I wonder why that's not there. Maybe starts to push beyond the advanced kind of, the normal user into advanced territory. Cool, so we have row, column, and row reverse. Row reverse is really cool if you have an image and some text, and then the next section is text and image. Then on mobile, you can flip them so that it goes image, text, and doesn't go, two of the same thing in a row. If that example doesn't make sense, I'm sure I'll cover that at some point in the near future. So how does this work if I stick in a headline? Welcome from Germany. Glad to have you in. What is the default width set on this? Is it just going to be my my contents width? Oh yeah, okay. Interesting. Convincing me to try blocks. Awesome. I definitely recommend it. From Tom, right now we're debating about whether or not we add absolute sticky positioning in free or pro, since you can use relative now. Yeah, 100%. Absolute and sticky at a minimum, for sure. I was just curious, this inner container isn't automatically set to your container's width, although, hey, this is a German party. Welcome, everybody. Do I have a global max width? Let me just make sure that it's set properly, because I was wondering, my container's not going to my container width automatically, at least that inner one is not. So I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so it is set as that. Okay, let's actually get to building something. I got a little distracted here, so. What I was getting at though was like when this paragraph wasn't in there, it made the container like really small. So perhaps that's just something that I'm doing wrong. I don't have enough space on my screen to fit with the two sidebars. Huh, okay, well, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Sizing. Oh, cool, there's a little toggle for use global max width now, okay. Where is the flex shrink? Am I just overlooking that? Oh. Okay. Flex shrink of 0. Whatever, not that big of a deal. Not concerned about that at all. Okay. Just set a width of, yeah. So basically what we're going to do here, it's set to max width right now. What is set to max width? Okay. Yeah, I see that now, Taylor. That seems a little weird. Why would it not just automatically take up the container width? Because I just added an inner container. Yeah, flex grow works. Min width. Sorry, I'm just thinking through some of these parameters here. because we have our global, because I changed it to flex, really? So then if I take off that flex grow, if you don't change it to flex, so if it's set to default, I guess just flex grow is all I need. So what I'm going to do on this outer container is just set this to this background color here. So we'll scroll down to our color section and backgrounds. Yeah, start over for real. Not super worried about it, to be honest. So really all that we need inside of this is going to be two separate containers. So one, okay, all right. I'll try it, Kyle. We're gonna go insert after, container, and then add inner container. Okay. There was something then that I clicked. I think it was when I was exploring the layout, relative positioning and stuff. There we go. Okay. Something that I did. No worries. So all that we need inside of this inner container is going to be two extra containers. And those are just going to be our left and right kind of holders, you know, our containers, if you will, for the content that will effectively be that top bar. So we can go with container and just duplicate. And what I'm going to do inside of this is, well, realistically, we could just use a heading element with an icon. So we're going to do that instead of creating a bunch of additional containers. So I'm just going to make this nice and simple. We're going to go with paragraph. He's spent so many Taylor, it's crazy. We're going to go with employee portal, and then we'll just pop this on a little icon. I don't really care what the icon is, so I'm just going to pick some stuff. And then what we're going to do is, actually, I'm just going to leave this as is. I'm going to go with Control Shift. Oop, nope. Control Shift. Oh my gosh. The Control Shift D thing for duplicate constantly throws me problems. There we go. I have to like click it in a way where it doesn't have that border outside of it. So we're just going to duplicate this. I think it's 4 times in this section. Email, retirement, and time card. So email, retirement, and time card. We'll just toss on some other icons. Email, there's a little envelope, that'll work. Retirement, coffee, and time card, there is a little clock, I believe. Yep, there it is. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now on this container is find the gap controls, which I know exist, but I don't know where off the top of my head. Oh, I probably have to go to flex. So now that I've set this display to flex, the flex direction is set. And then I can go with column gap of, let's just say like, I don't know, 1 rem or something like that. So that is perfect. Now the column gap is really cool because you don't have to fiddle with margins and that kind of spacing. If you reorder any of these items, it's only going to be the spacing in between the items and not on the outer edges too. So if I wanted, I could take this headline, move it to the front of the queue, and then there's that nice gap between them. I can bump that up to 2 if I want. I think 1 is going to be enough. Might have to reduce that just a little bit. And then our other container here is basically just going to be the same thing. So I think it's actually just social icons and a phone number. There's a reason I didn't look at this at all. I was trying to give a fresh perspective rather than having spent 20,000 hours on it. Okay. So we'll drop that into here, and then I will just take this down in here. So then we can take this container, set this one to flex. Our column gap is going to be 1 rem again. Oh, I forgot I can do type in units. So I'm going to go 1 rem, and it will just pop in. So then this container is going to go with flex as well. And then once again, we can just go with our space. Well, actually not once again. Our justify content parameter is going to be space between. And there we go. So we can center the align items. And then I think this side, I don't have the little, the CSS for removing the default margin bottom on the paragraph, but I'll do that real quick. So we'll just update this. And you can see how much quicker that was to put this together, despite what Kyle and Taylor are saying, than it would be if you're trying to work with this in a grid format. Now, I believe there may be some tweaking we need to do on the front end, but I'm going to go WP code box real quick. I think I have P8 last child margin bottom 0. I do have that set. I wonder why it's not showing. Let's see here. Oh, I need to set a location on my element. So my top bar appears, and if I go refresh, there it is. Other than this crazy alignment issue, let's see, what is the dealio? Margin bottom of 1.5 EM. I wonder why my CSS isn't taking that back over. This one doesn't have it. So it's just doing the last headline in each of your flex containers. Ay. This worked before, so I know that something changed here. I think last of type will work. Nope. What is it? Tell me, Mr. Holy Sensei. That's lame. I don't want to zero them all out. There's definitely a way to, if it's the last child, I know that used to work. I think it's because this span with an icon. Oh yeah, that's a good idea, Taylor. I actually meant to show that. So I can just go select them all and margin bottom 0. That I don't like setting individual margins like that, but whatever, it works. Okay, so now on this wrapper container, just simply going to add some padding. So just to test, I can go 0.5 rem, right? Oh no. I guess not. You can't type it in there unless I'm doing something wrong. It's very likely, as you've seen. No rim on spacing or typography. We can only use that on sizing. Okay, well, now at least our top bar is fixed. So perfect. So much easier to do it like that. So there is some flex in action. Despite being yelled at by the chat, it's super simple. So we just have a parent container. Then we have the inner container just simply to restrict the width of the content to be inside of our global container rather than stretching all the way to the left and right edges. And then in the left container, we just have that set to flex. The default flex direction, I always get them confused, is row, so that's perfect. And then same thing over here. On the outer container, we just have the align items set to center because we can play with that a little bit, as you can see. And then we have our space between so that the two separate containers are pushed to opposing edges of the screen. So that's perfect. Far more simple, as you can see. I'm just so happy to have the gap controls. Gap is so powerful and just something that when it got added to Oxygen, it was awesome. And of course, now that it's here in GenerateBlocks as well, I can stop using helper classes. It's just right there. The other thing that Taylor pointed out that I think is so cool for you to just be aware of is that you can click and shift click multiple items in, I think this is Gutenberg as a whole, not just GenerateBlocks. And you can control multiple parameters, you know, you can control the parameters of all of those elements at once. So if I wanted, I could change the text to something like blue for all of those at once. So for those of you guys that, you know, get super hung up on needing classes, I mean, this is pretty damn powerful. You can also do it for parent elements like these two containers. If I wanted to add some additional padding, I could go 1 EM of padding for both of those containers at once. It's really cool. I love that feature. One of those hidden in plain sight kind of features. I'm going to clear this out so it goes back to black. So there we go. Let me pull up the other layouts that I wanted to build here. So let's do what did I say? Getting started section. Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay. So this is one of the ones that I wanted to show you. It's not because it's necessarily a super complex layout, but because this section right here with this icon that kind of takes up the left edge, this is easy to do with Flex, and something that is a little, not hard, but you just had to have grids inside of grids to achieve something like this before, but with Flex, super duper easy now. I went searching for just some layouts that might be cool to build. If you guys have anything in the meantime while I'm working on this, please do drop it in the chat and I'll take a look and maybe we can build it. So the other thing is there's a cool tool, if you haven't seen my videos or past streams, that I use a lot called Hoverify. And that's what I'm going to use real quick to download these images. So there's a video on my channel for Hoverify. Have a look at that and you can kind of see what some of the cool features in there are. So in the Assets tab, I am going to grab some of these photos. So this is the big Dalaran icon. And are these, let's see what they are. Are they WebPs? Oh, interesting. It's like a background border image. And then, okay. I wonder why they would do it that way. I wonder why it wouldn't just be an image. That's super interesting. Maybe because they're all three the same. I wonder if I can just, oop, here we go. I just want that image. I don't want to deal with building that, replicating that layout. Well, let's just, we'll come back to that in a second. So I'm going to go add a container after. And then on the container, we're going to scroll down to our background section. And then this WebP, am I going to be able to upload this? Yeah. Cool. So there is the image. And then this section appears to be roughly 100 VH. And then height, I can go 100 VH, right? Sick. The type-in units are awesome. I'm going to have to get used to that because it's such a habit to move over and click each button every time. But that's perfect. A little bit crammed here just because obviously the sidebars take up a lot of our width. But let's also take a look at how wide this container is. So using Hoverify and the Inspect tool, we can kind of see, this looks like these containers are 594 pixels wide. Yeah, so that's nice and easy. That one said 498 for some reason, but 594 pixels. So that makes it just so dead simple because in the prior to 1.7 GenerateBlocks, realistically, you would need to have a grid and you kind of need to fib it a little bit. Or again, as I've said before, use what was I going to say? I forgot. I was busy reading Taylor's chat. I recommend using min 100 VH, otherwise stuff gets squashed and making the screen height smaller and they overlap. Yeah, that's a good point. Min height 100 VH. So I presume I don't need that. Cool. So let's open up this, and we are going to use an inner container so that our content is not pushed all the way to the, far. Well, actually, it is. It is in this case. Interesting. So I'm not going to use an inner container. We're just going to add it right into the page. So pop in a container. Does this count as an inner container though? I guess it must. Oh, no, 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 not by default. Not unless you click that inner container button. Cool. So in this case, we're just going to go with a max width of 594, I think is what it was roughly. And then we just have a couple of headlines. So I'm just going to duplicate 3 headlines and we'll style them in a little bit. Then underneath this headline, we had another container. And inside of this container, this is going to be a flex direction. Just thinking here real quick, because as always with these sorts of things, there's a couple of different ways to achieve it. So we'll have one container here. I'm actually just curious how they built it. Doesn't really matter, but you can kind of get the idea here. So there's a border, or excuse me, a container that's represented by this border, image on the left, heading, and some text. So it's really easy to do that. All we need to do is inside of this container, I'm just going to pop in another container. Then we're going to go with an image. It's going to be huge right now. So I'm just going to grab an image for the moment. Let's just do something basic like these waves, and I'm going to set it to be something like block settings. Okay, so we don't get max width on everything. Okay, so just containers. That's good to know. Slightly tweaks the way that I wanted to build that, but that's okay. The icon was, I guess I should stop clicking the close button on this. Doesn't actually have a width set, so I'm just going to assume, oh, also I'm still in my top bar generate press element, so this is going to be at the top of the website, but that's okay. So the container, our max width, I'm just gonna go with something like, I don't know, 85 pixels for now. And what I actually wanted to do was just set a max width on the image itself. I guess I could just set a width on the image. Let me do that. Let me take that back off the container. I wasn't thinking clearly. So then inside of this container, I'm gonna pop in another one, and you'll see why in just a second. Inside of this, there was a headline, and it just said, I don't know, account or something like that. And then use text expander to pop in a little bit of text. And now what I can do is on this container, I'm just simply going to set display of flex. And then this will work, I believe. Or does this need to be wrapped in another container? Oh, actually, all we got to do is just set some grid gap here. There we go. So I don't know what it is. I'm just going to assume it's maybe no, that's too much. 24 pixels, something like that. And then with this container, we can set this one. I'm not used to where all these controls are. I'm trying to scroll down to get to it. I can use the align item center. And then I assume the headline has kind of some reduced text in terms of margin. Oh, let's see, margin bottom. So really, I just need a better image because this one is a circle that kind of takes up all that space. So I wish they didn't do that photo trickery. I guess I can just take this image. I don't think it's a full square, but if I go with 100 and 100, this is going to look disgusting. Let's go with 100%. No, that's not going to work. But if my image was a perfect square, I could make it a circle. Maybe I just need to reduce the font size of this heading. What is this one here? Does it close automatically whenever I switch tabs? It must. I'm just going to shrink this font size down a bit. So where did my typography go? There it is. It was at the top. We'll just make this smaller, and then for our spacing, I'm just going to set 0 margin bottom to bring that up just a little bit. And oh, and then our freaking paragraph. Let me make this a headline, so I actually have proper margin controls. There we go. All right. So you get the idea. I didn't realize when I was looking at this last night that those images weren't actually real images, because I wanted to kind of replicate it a little bit more. Let me close this sidebar, and then we need to do a little bit more. So let me use the real headlines from here. What do I need to play? That one's going to be just a lot smaller. I'm not going to make it perfect. We'll go 17. Then it's getting started and this. So getting started we'll leave at that size. This one we're going to leave as a paragraph like so. Then let's take our outer container here. And with our flex controls, we're going to go with align items of center to push everything to the center like this. What is that, Luke? By the way, shout out to Luke. What's up, dude? Is that the actual photos? So it's this nice like off blue. And then, oh, I didn't mean to do color picker, but I'll take it. Sweet, dude. Thank you. I'm gonna grab that in just a second. So with our text color, pop that in there. Obviously the font is wrong, I know. Is that one also white? It's some kind of other color. Okay, so text is gonna be that. Yeah, Taylor, I was thinking the same thing. UI account icon WebP. Okay, we'll upload this guy real quick. Where did it go? It went into some other folder. There we go. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I'm not super concerned about the image border. I could just simply pop on a box shadow and that will give us a reasonably close effect. Okay, so then how big is that icon? Let me get out of the color picker here. 80 by 80, okay. So then we probably just need to shrink this text down. Okay, where did I set the width here? 80. I don't think I need to worry about the height. Nope, definitely not. Font size of this paragraph text must be a lot smaller. So I'm gonna have to get used to the typography being further down there. So 0.875, maybe something like that. Okay, so you kind of get the point here. So I could just simply duplicate this container 3 times. Then with this, if I wanted to space them out, all I need to do is set the display of flex and then our grid gap. Sorry, I'm scrolling up and down all this stuff. Not quite used to where everything is just yet. Max width. Where's the grid? Gosh, this is frustrating. Oh, there it is, column gap. Okay, it's in my layout tab. I'll remember that from now on. So we want flex direction of column, then our column gap of maybe 24 pixels. Column and row gap. Okay, there we go. It's because I set column, I need a row gap, just like that. So when this shrinks, starting to look okay. We just need a little bit of spacing. We could probably just use some margin on this container here. So from the left edge of the screen, I don't know, it's not very far off the screen. So maybe, 2 EM. Yeah, I agree, Kyle. I think the issue is the way that this flex container is working. So I wonder, just to kind of play with this, I wonder if I set a max width here of something like 80%. There we go. That is much better. Can you select the containers like this? No, you can't control click them. That's a bummer. Excuse me. So max width of 80% and 80%. So what's happening there is the flex container is trying to take up all the space. So that should be much more like what we're after. Now, obviously, the typography should be a lighter color. What is it? White and some kind of off-white. I'm not super worried about that, but what we should be able to do is just click this parent container rather than setting every single one. Simply scroll down to our colors and go to text and set that to white, and everything is going to fit nicely like that. So it's great. Should be able to set flex strength 0 on your containers. Let's give it a go. Let us see what happens. So then if I take that max width off, yeah, 80%. There we go. Just was willing to experiment for you. Oh, I screwed this. There we go. Okay. Cool. So if I update this, that's going to be at the top of my page, which obviously is not supposed to be where it is. But that is super simple and easy to achieve. The other thing is you don't necessarily have to use margin between these two sections either, because we have two different containers. Oh, well, actually, that's not true. Because of the way that I set this up, if I had wrapped these three in a container, I could just set gap on these. So, in this case, you might just stick some margin top of, 1 EM or whatever, something like that. So that's just dead simple to achieve. It takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around the flex controls, in terms of how they kind of all correspond with each other, because essentially there's two different flex layouts happening here. You have a flex direction of column and you have a flex direction of row, and then you're combining it again here. So it's a little bit confusing, but you can kind of just start to look at the building blocks of other sites and see it. That's why I think this Hoverify tool is so cool, because there is somewhere in here, I think it's under inspect, and with grids, you can see the grids, with these red lines. I know, dude, I love this photo. This is such a good photo. You can see these lines. So this is going to help you sort of visualize what these grids are going to look like, and then you can turn those into flex control. So I find it a bit easier personally just to use the mouse controls and kind of look at what is structured and how. But eventually, I've said this before in other videos and other streams, you'll get to the point where you can just see the flex layouts without even, what's the word? Without even trying. You can just see a flex layout and how it will be structured. Intrinsic design is the future. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but it sounds cool. So let's see. The homepage block, I had another one. Yeah, let's do this other one. So I have this one here. This one is simple, but just to take a look at these buttons. So essentially, it is more or less the same thing. So again, pop a container down here. I just wanted to look at how the buttons behave now. So we're gonna take this assets and go find that Lich King photo. Where is it? Oh, this is it right here. Okay, so pretty much the exact same thing. I just wanted to use the real photo to make it look reasonably close and have some uniqueness to it. How tall is this section? 78 pixels. I don't believe that. 480, there we go. So we're gonna go with a minimum height of 480. Then again, I'm just gonna stick in another container. The Wrath cinematics have to be the best Blizzard ever made. I think so. They're just so good, and obviously there's a fair degree of nostalgia with them, but they were really, really cool. Just to make it simple, woo, Kyle, thanks, dude. I'll take the $5 in exchange for the hassle. No, I appreciate that, Kyle. Thanks so much, dude. That's a great way to support the stream, is with simple donations like that. And also with a like on the stream and subscribing. If you're new here, that is very, very welcome. Intrinsic design per Gen 7 intrinsic layouts. I'll have to check it out. What I was gonna do here real quick is insert a container before so that I have an easy way to stick my headlines in here. I don't know if I can drag it straight in there. Yeah, if I get it just right, I can. I just wanted to put these inside of a container because of what I described earlier. If I take the margin top off of this, I can just simply set the flex gap once I set the display flex here to column, and then our column gap of, I don't know, what did I do? 32 pixels roughly. Oh, I'm there we go. 32 row gap. The other reason why I wanted to do that is because now I can take this container, just copy, come down here, and I can simply just paste this in because it's more or less the same kind of thing. We have Wrath of the Lich King Classic in all caps. Oop. I keep thinking you're in Figma every time I tap back in. That's funny. Wrath of the Lich King Classic. The Lich King has returned. Damn right he has. So this is another opportunity for us to set max width on this container, because you can see in this case, when I don't have that, the content, the text takes up all its available space, whereas here it only goes to, how wide is this? 640 pixels. So, cheeky artist. So we probably wouldn't want, well, let's see, what happens on mobile? I'm just curious. Oh, cool, it drops to a second section. That'd be a fun layout to recreate. Interesting. Is there a dark mode for Gutenberg? That's a great question. That sounds like a simple snippet or plugin somebody could create. This max width was 640. And then with our container here, I am going to go, let's see, I think I set, which one did I set flex on already? Neither of them. Okay. So we'll go with display of flex and then align items. Oh, no. I got to do it on this one because this is the one that I actually set the height on. Align items of center, and then I could actually just leave this as flex because we're going to need that again in a second. So really what I wanted to do was just take a look at these buttons. This is, again, really easy. So insert after, we're just going to pop in, let's see. Let me just take a look at what the buttons look like now. So here's a button and it says shop upgrades. Shop upgrades. So in this container, we're going to go with the flex direction of column, align items of left. Let's go with the row gap of maybe like 16 pixels or something like that. And then if I just simply duplicate this button, this is sort of the opposite of what it used to do. But if where's the button wrapper? Add to button container sick. This is what I was hoping for. So with the button container element, this is new. I can now control the flex directions of these elements. So if I want them to be a column or a row, I can do that. So the row, just like this, is what I want. And then the column gap of, I don't know what it is, 16 pixels maybe, 1 EM. Oh, there's 1 rem, but not EM. Good Lord. 1 rem. Okay, so learn more was the other one. Those buttons are cool too. I like the borders and the colors. All that stuff looks great. So that makes it nice and easy with this button container if you have more than one, and then they should wrap. So if you had a ton of content here, the flex wrap is going to take into effect as well. Let me update this and just look at it on the front end. Oh, I need to put some spacing on the left edge again. What did I do? Margin left of 2 EM. Just like that. So obviously, other than like the font and the colors, then that works. Can we enter CSS variables? I don't know. I don't think so. That'd be nice though. I'm sure it could be extended with code, or perhaps if you add that as a feature request, they might be willing to add that. But that looks pretty cool. It's not exactly the same, obviously. It's a little bit tighter. I don't have the proper spacing on that left side. I wonder what they actually do with this container. I'm going to use Chrome Inspect and take a closer look at this. Let's go with a responsive layout of 1500. And then they don't really have like a container width. So their position is absolute, and then it's left and right 10%. Sure, you can enter CSS variables. Whether it works or not is a different question. We use global styles from GP Premium. Oh, yeah. I see the question now. Is there class support in any similar fashion to Oxygen? Yes, it is global styles. That's what Taylor's saying. I have a video on that called like classes, blah, something to that effect. You can go check that out and get a closer look at it. It's interesting that this panel box is set to 600 pixels wide and that the heading flows out with this 200%. That's really funny. Max height. I'm just curious how they built this section and then what their padding control is. Max width of 1200. Oh, okay. So really we could have put this in a container because that's what our max width is as well. So all that does when you add in the inner container using the button is it just sets the global max width like that. And then I would actually be able to take off this margin. I wouldn't need that. And then the other thing I believe it does is left and right margin auto. Something like that. And then let's see. Why is that centered? Align items left. Oh, did I put the max width on the wrong container? I did. Yep, it needs to go on this. Well, no. This is correct. Feels like there's something wrong here. So this container having a max width of 640 is fine. I wonder what... Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Max width of 1200. Wonder why that doesn't work. Margin right of auto, margin left of auto. Take off flex on the inner container? Oh, yeah, I guess I'm thinking about this because I would need an additional... Well, no, I set it as global max width of 1200. Oh, but I need probably a min width too. Just to make this work how I was envisioning it. This isn't exactly how I would build it. Yeah, I see, Taylor. So yeah, not minimum width, but flex grow. You're right. I get it now. Yep. Cool. Okay, that's more like it. So just in the example from before, this container has a 1200 pixel wide width, which just by total luck is exactly what our container was set to. So let me just briefly explain if you don't understand what I just did. So there is a flex property called flex grow 1. And what that does is it just takes up all the available space. So we went ahead and did that here because our content is not 1200 pixels wide. And then what that does for us is we set the max width on this container to be 640 pixels, but its parent container is going to be 1200 pixels wide with a flex grow of 1. And then, in fact, I don't actually need this margin left and right auto. It doesn't do anything in this case. So that way, our container is forced to be 1200 pixels, and it's going to be centered. Actually, I just said it doesn't do anything. Let me double check. Yeah, okay. Ignore me. I'm an idiot. Why anybody watches me, I don't know. Okay, there we go. So it does actually do something in this case. That's what the inner container did before GenerateBlocks 1.7, and what it still does now is it just sets that max width and margin left and right auto to center that container. So cool. That's perfect. The other thing I wanted to do was look at the tabs and the accordion sections. So we've had enough of the flex layouts, I believe, for now. I think we're still going to do that, but there is a tab section here. So all I really wanted to do was just look at tabs and see how we can make that work here in a layout like this. So we're going to go with another container. Hello, hello. Do you explain what Flex Grow does in your training course? No, it's not ready yet because this content is not in the Generate Made Easy course, but it is something that I'm definitely going to be doing. The videos are probably not going to come until the 1.7 system gets into beta at the very least, because it's alpha, things can change, and I'm not really interested in recording content that will just be overridden by a beta change. No, not really, Bad Cat, because it says that there is a conversion system, and it also won't affect older containers. So if you're using what they're calling a legacy container, it will remain exactly as it did before. So if you add a new one, you get all the new controls. If you have an old one, it doesn't make any difference. So what is the background in this section? Is it just a simple color? I'm just going to grab a color picker here. Background will be that color. And then looks like we have almost the entire width. So we'll just go ahead and maybe let's add in 1 EM of padding. Apparently it's raining outside. It was sunny when I last went outside, and now that I've been streaming for a little over an hour, it's raining. Okay, then let's take a look at the tab component. So we're going to click on some tabs. So we are going to use horizontal tabs in this case. So let's see how this works. You can use this button to add a new tab item. Cool. Does it automatically add the tab content? Yep, it sure does. So what happens if I delete one? Does it delete the other? Oh, there's a separate button. Remove tab button and remove tab button and item. Cool. That's nice. Does it work on the other side as well? It sure does. Easy peasy. So just a little bit of styling. Let's take a look at what the active color is here. It's got this yellow effect. I would have these as global colors if this was a real site that we were building. So it looks like we have 3 different colors. It's going to be hover, active, and then something. I wish there was a little tooltip to tell me. Oh, there it is. Hover, something, and current. Okay, so our current color is going to be this yellow one. What happens when you hover over these? You also get that same yellow color, okay? And then the non-active color is something slightly. Don't try to drag tab buttons out of the tab group. Okay, Good to know. I wasn't planning on trying that, but I appreciate it. Grab those colors. How does GB implement dynamic data? It works with advanced custom fields, almost all of them except the relational fields, like, repeaters and stuff don't work, but it works perfectly fine. There's a whole dynamic data feature. Okay, so then we're gonna need a bunch more padding. So is it just a width? Are they all set as 250? That one's 230. Oh, no, I see now. A little bit of padding, 10%. Okay. Yeah, that's Hoverify. All I did was go with the color eyedropper. It's just the feature inside of Hoverify there. Okay, so the tab buttons, the width is, I think they did like 230 pixels, and then there was just a little bit of padding. It was 10 on all sides. So then how do you center the text? Is it just to justify? Oh, sick. There we go. Just to justify content on the tab buttons. Awesome. And then there's got to be more padding here. So it's not 10 pixels. There must be a minimum height as well. 83. So they're all spaced evenly. They're all 267 and then 83 high. So if I do it to one tab, does it do it to all of them? We'll go with a min height of 83. Notice that the settings apply to all buttons. Yeah, I was just realizing that. That's pretty cool. So we'll align items center, and then that text just inverts the color based on what tab is active. So our text color is going to be, wait, no. Is this that color? Then otherwise it's this and this. There we go. Okay. Easy. And then I presume I can set, oh cool, so there's even more settings I didn't realize here. So default open tab. That's pretty dope that you can set which tab is open. Can I have none of them? So Jim, here we go. This is why. So you can sync tab item styles with that, which is super cool. And then transition of fade. I assume maybe it doesn't work on the back end. Tab button type can be a container or a button. Interesting. Oh no, it took away my colors. Oh no, it didn't. It just deselected my tab. I see. What I wanted to do now was just look at the way that this content is spaced out. So they have this nice little white or, off gray kind of border atop the tab row. Then there's some space, and then there's the content inside of the tab. So realistically, what we would want to do probably is take this whole tab items container and add, some kind of margin top like that. Then with our tab buttons, can we go with flex grow of 1? Maybe a width of 100%. There we go. Okay. So width 100% does work. So then let me find what that color is. Just some kind of, it's probably going to be easier to just Chrome inspect it. Menu list. There it is. So border top, 1 pixel solid, and it's this color. So tab buttons, we're going to stick a border like that. And then our border size top and bottom of just 1 pixel. There we go. Starting to look really nice. It's amazing how those small little changes like that, one little border, makes a huge difference. Now, I don't know if this is going to extend all the way to the outside edges of the content, but nonetheless, looks like we can add anything we want inside of these tab items. So I could go with a query loop, which is probably how I would get this content, because these all look like they link out somewhere else, almost as though they were posts. It looks really cool. So just simply the featured image, nice little yellow border on hover, and then there's another little container here. So we could actually do that with just a regular post. The tab item background, is it defaulting to something? Oh, the whole container defaults. Okay, I see. So then inside of our query loop, it's interesting it uses a grid. I wonder if still uses a grid in the query loop. Huh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's an oversight or if that's intentional. Gordon, hello, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping in. It's raining really hard, so if suddenly I disappear, it's because my power and or internet went out. So I guess the grid change is not really that big of a deal when it comes to our posts like this. I don't really think I need to spend the time to optimize all this stuff, make it look exactly the same, unless you want to see it, because I do think that looks pretty cool. Let's do it. We're gonna do it. So we're gonna go insert before. I can show kind of the dynamic data bit. This is obviously just a basic, dynamic data from the query loop block into the image, but it's really simple. So we can just go stick in an image. And I probably would actually do this not with an image, to be honest. I think I would go with a container, and I would set that container to a minimum height of, I don't know, roughly 200 pixels maybe. Change the tab buttons to inline, not inline flex, and then set the justify content to space around. For, what does that accomplish? Sorry. So then with the dynamic data, I can just go enable data source is current post, background image source is featured image. And obviously these photos are completely wrong compared to our system here. To our example, I mean. Post title is far smaller, something like a lot smaller. You can use an image block and then use object fit. Oh, okay, cool. I've just always done it like kind of how I would do it in Oxygen with the div and dynamic data as the the way to bring it in. So then with our post template, do we have a gap control on this? If we set it to flex, I presume we do. Flex of column, and then row gap of, we would just want 1 EM. Oh gosh, I'm not used to the change in these spacing controls. It's super wonky. Oxy has option on image themselves for object fit now. Oh, okay, yeah. So then we would want another container. It's a little bit hard to see here because of the colors, but I'm just going to stick all of my content inside of another container, and you'll see why in just a minute or so. We don't need the excerpt to be this long. Oh, in fact, it's just the category and the post title. So we could drop the whole excerpt. And we don't have categories on these posts, I don't think, so I'm going to cheat with this and use the date instead of the category. So then on this container, for our colors and our links, it is that yellow color. So I will steal it off of this. This yellow color is reminiscent of the tab color, the admin bar color, I mean. Okay, So then there's the link. That's perfect. Looking okay. And is there margin bottom on this? Yes, there is. It's only 5 though. Okay. So then the background is that nice gray color. I'm just going to grab it while I'm here. So on this container, we're going to go with a background of that. And then this, I'm just going to set to some kind of off gray color so we can see it a little bit better, just de-emphasize it a bit. And then how do they handle the spacing here? Yeah, man. I mean, I loved Oxygen. I think Oxygen is still a great product. It's just not for me anymore. And especially now with some of these features that GenerateBlocks is bringing in, it's really, really good. Oh, by the way, I don't have it yet, but if you don't already have GenerateBlocks, there's going to be a link in the description. The free version is really, really powerful, and the pro version just is worth every single penny. So let me look at this. So they didn't do it exactly the way that, the whole card is clickable. I see why. I say why it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So this container, I'll just guess what the padding is because I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Just 20 pixels. Easy. So 20 pixels of padding. Don't scream at me. I know it's not a relative unit. That's okay. So because we have this set to flex, we should also be able to go to justify content and stretch, which will make it so that our... Wait, it just fixed itself? Oh, I see why. I was looking for a way to fix this because the background colors here were not the same height. But, oh, here's an example right here. This is what I meant to do. So with our post template, we should be able to go with stretch. No. Maybe they have minimum height on this, which is why it works. They have a width. They have a height of 105. Okay. Height, let's see. All these spacing controls. So if we go with a height of 105, so it doesn't quite work in our case because the font sizes are just different, but I see the approach. So they just went ahead and set a height on it. I would say that's a slightly hacky, but I mean, it works, especially in this case where you're doing it on a query loop block where it's just so simple to edit in the future. Now all I would want to do is just go ahead and with our grid set a horizontal gap to match, make it just a little bit spaced out. I'm going to go with less, like 20 pixels on each side. And then the other thing is, why is there... We don't need that gap. There we go. We don't need a row gap on that post template. So then if we update this, we should have a functional tab. Now, of course, many of them are not going to be styled, but if we click the tab, there we go. Look at that. It's got a nice fade effect. You can see there is tab 2 content in here. It's a little bit difficult to see, but tabs are fully functional. And I must have accidentally set on this tab. I must have turned off the default tab. I sure did. So if I go with 1, then it is just going to work. It reloaded so fast I didn't even realize it. Here we go, F5. Boom, done. You like can't even see the page content flash, it reloads so quickly. Now it looks like they have, what is it? They have a 4 wide layout and I did 3. So that's super simple to fix. All I need to do is go back to my grid, or excuse me, my post template here, and we can go with 25%. And it's crammed in the back end, but on the front end, since we've allowed this to take up all the width, it looks really, really nice. We could probably go ahead and reduce the height of this container now. We did like 150 pixels because these sections are a little bit more squished, but it just works. Super awesome. So what do you guys think? Obviously, quite a few people like Learn the Tech saying This looks powerful. I completely agree. This stuff is super awesome. Tabs and accordions by themselves are just such a welcome change, but then having these flex controls is even better. There was one more thing I had. The accordion section from the World of Warcraft site is really basic, but I wanted to just play with the accordions and see. We're going to see what it looks like. So this accordion is open by default. It's got a dope picture in the background. It's interesting it doesn't close when you click it. It only closes when you select another tab, which, you know, not that big of a deal. Hopefully he is a convert. I want homie with us. Okay, so we're gonna do another container after this. Container. And then we're gonna snag this background image. There we go. Nice overlay effect, Tuskar desktop. Browse and stick this in. We're just going to go with a min height of 100 VH. I don't know if that's actually its height. Oh, whoa, that's sick. That parallax gradient effect. That's really cool. Okay, so let's try to find out what that overlay gradient actually is. Background image, linear gradient. So it's a black of 70%, 180 degrees, and then it lightens up a bit. You boys know what happened when there wasn't an annual subscription, right? So we're going to use a gradient, and then it's going to go on the pseudo. The first color is just going to be black. If we wanted to do the 3 or 4 layers of gradient, we would just need to use an advanced color. Or I mean an advanced background instead of just this one right here, but that's okay for now. The gradient direction was 180. Color 2, let's just do one of the other colors. 10, 1, 1. We'll just go with 60. We'll go with 60 like that, just to make it a light little gradient. I know this isn't a perfect replica, but that's okay. That's not exactly what I'm going for. We're going to go with an inner container. Let's take a look at some of the parameters here. So this is obviously not full width. How wide is this section here? 800. Cool. So that's nice and easy. I set this, but all I'm going to do is go with 800. Actually, I think that's going to be kind of a nice helpful way to do this is if you don't need it to be the full width, you can go ahead and just add the inner container in like I did. And then the only thing you need to do is change the max width off of the global value and just set it to what you actually need. And then it's just going to work perfectly for you. I think a limited lifetime package would work, would help GP break into the market faster. I mean, the thing is the plugin in the repo has like over 100,000 active installs. So whatever percentage of people are buying that, I'm sure is substantial for the pro version. Plus, GeneratePress has like 1 million active installs, so I don't think they're really worried about offering a lifetime package to get more market share. They've been around a number of years and are doing well. Okay, so inside of this, we got a couple of headings. So I'm just gonna pop in heading, and we'll just go with FAQ. Again, not super concerned with this particular thing being dead on, but I want it to be, you know, feel relatively. Var base. Why is it? Sure, Luke, what's up, dude? Is it because I did my gradient on the pseudo? Why would this, this has definitely not been a problem for me before. That's weird. Let me change this real quick off of this background. I'm going to turn off the gradient. Let's see, we're gonna take this background and go to advanced. I'm gonna go to image. Oh, I like the delete button being here now. So image, is going to be our Tuskar image again. We can stick this image on the pseudo element. I think that's going to be the difference maker here. So we're going to go with pseudo. Step 1 was black and like 70%. And then step 2 was, again, we'll just go black and make that 50 something percent. That's fine. And then our direction is 180. So now, am I an idiot or is this a bug? If it's on the pseudo element, I didn't think it actually made a difference. That's so weird. Why? Is it a Z-index thing? That's really odd. Oh, can you hear the rain? That's crazy. That's awesome. I told you it was raining hard. My power company sometimes has like flashes. So I don't feel like you need to set the Z-index. Maybe that's an alpha bug because I know for a fact that I have set these backgrounds like this before on the pseudo element and it works just fine. So maybe, I don't know. Anyway, not my point. The point was to play with these accordions. So let's get this headline centered. Let's add in an accordion block. So accordion title and accordion content. We'll just do a little bit of styling here. You can use this button to add new accordion items. And then I wonder if it has the same kind of sync. Okay, keep multiple items open. That's nice. Sync accordion item styles. Transition is slide or fade. Accordion title type is a button or a container. Then, of course, we have our flex controls, which is perfect. Does it work in the back end? Oh, yeah, it does. Look at that. That's cool. Okay. So, do I need to purchase to play? Accordion title. And then, there we go. Just pop these contents in. So we don't need background. Where is this coming from? There we go. So we will clear all these out. Accordion content, background, clear it out. It's just so simple, so easy. It just works. What a novel concept. And then it's that yellow color again and the off-white. Let's see, where can I steal that from? If I use global colors, it wouldn't be this hard. Here we go. Okay, coming back. This headline text, bam, accordion title. And then I think I'm just gonna set them all because the color doesn't change. And then the typography, I'm so used to the typography being at the top. It's a weird change. Font size, 2. It's not that big. 1.5. Then the text, oh gosh, look at this. Because I used a paragraph and not a GenerateBlocks headline. Okay. It's kind of grayish, like that. So now with this other one, it syncs. It's super awesome. Let me just put on one more of these so we can change the content and see what it looks like. And obviously, because these are just basically containers, you can add anything you want in them. We could add a video if we wanted. Stick in a YouTube block. I don't really have a video handy. Actually, yes, I do. I'm gonna stick this in. Little Dom Whiting action. Don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him. Drum and bass on the bike. Let's stick in some padding because there is some padding on this top section. So we're gonna go padding. Let's just go, I don't know, 4 EM top and bottom. Update this. And let's go look on the front end. Oh, I jacked something up. Also, there's some weirdness with the height. Oh, okay, probably because I need to set the sections. What did I do? Min height? Oh, I'm on the wrong container. Here we go. I did min height 100 VH. I guess it's expanding beyond that because of the height of my container. That's interesting. I'd have to play with that to kind of fix that a little bit. And I wonder why there's a background color on my accordion title, even though it doesn't show in the back end. Hover current. I wonder if I need to just set a background color and just change its opacity down to 0 or something. Maybe it needs a color right now. It sounds a little bit broken, but it seems like that may be the case. Yeah, okay. And then I guess it needs a hover and active color. But I mean, these are simple components, but the thing is you can obviously do whatever you want with them, as you can see. So we have flex controls on all of these items. We can keep multiple open if we want. We can use global styles, so you could set a global style for these accordions because they're just containers. So cool. It's really, really powerful. Okay, so yeah, you can keep multiple open. That's nice. So let me make sure there's not something I'm forgetting. Auto margins, convert any container, layout display, inspector controls, sweet. I think that's pretty good. The other thing I wanted to take a look at was just the GenerateBlocks global styles real quick. Test global style. Okay, so we'll get rid of this headline. And then I wanted to go, oh, get out of here. We're gonna go with a container. And I was curious if I set this to flex call to gap or something like that. If I go display flex, we're gonna go with column and row gap of 2 EM, maybe something like that. Then would I want an inner container? I don't think it's gonna automatically add that for me. Really what I wanted to do was just see if the global styles will carry over like that. I'll just update this and then let's edit this page again. And this is a legacy. Oh, I was in my elements this whole time. I forgot I wasn't actually on a page. Elements, top bar. Okay. So what would be the best layout for me to test this on? Probably, excuse me. Probably this one. So if I take off the column, gap, and the flex direction, and I set this to default, then if I go use global style and flex call to gap, yep, it does. Oh, but it doesn't change the display here. So if I go to flex, oh, because I can override it. Yeah. I'm essentially setting it on this global style as opposed to that class. That's pretty sick. Might be something worth pulling into your text expander arsenal. Yeah, totally. You could totally do that. Yeah, just like, you know, my triggers are usually Z something because as you saw earlier, I added this text just by going Z short. Oop, Z short like that. And then text expander pops it in automatically. So this is a really powerful upgrade. That's all that I wanted to explore. Global styles need to be edited. Yes, they do. They do. That is a little bit frustrating. I wish you could edit them and add them from a different window. The consideration for me, you know, the only reason really why I'm willing to put up with that is because the load times in the editor are so fast that I can simply just, you know, update this, refresh, and I'm back, you know, to my containers in just a matter of seconds. So that makes it not as annoying to me because the you know, editor is so fast. And also, yeah, Taylor's right. You don't accidentally make changes. You have to be very intentional about that. So that might actually be something intentional from the GenerateBlocks developers. I don't know for sure, but certainly could be. I'm curious, as we're closing out the stream, if you guys have any other questions before you go, please drop a like on the stream. I really appreciate that. Shout out to Kyle for the donation. Shout out to Taylor and Luke for being members of the channel and mods. I appreciate you guys. You can definitely expect the there to be more content in the Generate Made Easy course. So if you're interested in that, visit permaslug.com, find that Generate Made Easy course, and I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after I close this stream out, the power shuts off because it's raining hard outside. It's amazing you guys can hear that. Oh, Luke, you had a request. I forgot. So on your titles in the query loop, could you apply a utility class, say lines 1, and then the CSS for the class would be? Sure. Title for the query loop. So we'll go down to advanced, stick this class on, and then I would do this in WP code box. So with our CSS, it will be .lines1, and then you wanted this. I'm going to format this so I can see it a little bit better. Curious on the tabs for mobile. Is there an option for the tabs to change to accordions? Good question. Thanks for sticking around this whole time, Learn the Tech. I appreciate it. Okay, Luke, is that what you were after? Let's refresh and see. Oh, it sticks an A-link inside of it. So perhaps I need to change the selector. Because the text is actually on the A inside of the H2. So curious. Oh wait, it is there. It is. You can't see it though. The ellipsis is there. Let me zoom in to make sure that I'm not insane. Yeah, look, there it is right there. It's working. That's dope. Very, very cool. I didn't actually understand what you were going for, but now I do once I actually took a second to read this. Overflow hidden, text ellipse, overflow ellipsis, display WebKit box. That's really cool. Very, very neat. Let's see, where did that question go? Tim, your question on the tabs for mobile. Where do we have tabs? Right here. Yeah, that is great. That's really fancy. I like that a lot. So let's take a look. I'm curious for tabs on mobile. Is there an option for the tabs to change to accordion? Let's figure out what happens here. Oh gosh, look at our layout. It's flipping terrible. Tab button layout. Tab button, we would definitely go with a direction of column. So that would be easy to make what we did, where it's wide like that, fit, and then the tabs still function. Doesn't look like they become accordions, but I think you could fake it, sort of, make it look like one. I think this would be fine though, especially because a tab layout often is on the side. Yeah, I mean, that's totally doable. All this stuff is easy though, because, just like Oxygen, all I have to do is just change the flex directions on these things and it's just gonna work. Pop it into column, 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 left align, left align. There we go. That's what I wanted. Just like that. Boom, baby. It's done. Yeah, and then there would be things like this. I mean, I could take all 3 of these containers. I could set them to flex call, justify content left, and then we'd probably want to take off that margin here. So that stuff is easy. Then you can just take the flex gap. Where's my gap? Oh, it's on this container here. Oh, no. Here we go. Flex column, row gap, 24. Bam. Easy. So much easier when you can multi-select items like this. This container, we would want some padding on all sides. I don't know why I didn't have that. Let's see here. Oh wait, did I not set EM? That's why that didn't work. I was like, what the hell? There we go. Then this button container, we could just change to a flex call, and then the row gap would just be, I don't know, 2 EM is way too much. 8 pixels maybe, 12 pixels, something like that. Easy peasy. Our query loop, our grid post template, we would just change this maybe to 50%. On mobile, I think we'd probably change it to 100. There's that. And then the FAQ section actually worked out pretty well by default. So, I mean, you know, we didn't really like anticipate any of this being mobile friendly, but realistically, we kind of got all of it, minus some padding and stuff, and this looks absolutely terrible. I think I'd probably find a way to stick this in like some sort of hamburger or little, you know, 3-dot kind of menu. So yeah, I mean, other than like minor padding things, pretty easy. I think we had some margin left on this of 2. You can see it there. Yeah, so we could, we could zero that out, and then 1 EM of padding on all sides, and you know, it all functions at the very least. So if we were to refresh this, then we could at least take a look in Chrome Inspect, go iPhone 12. Easy. There's obviously, again, spacing right there that would need to be fixed. It's awesome. Easy, baby. Well, what do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? I'm super stoked with this. This is really awesome. Just a big step forward. GenerateBlocks obviously has been my builder of choice now for many, many months. And there was really no restriction on what you couldn't do, but there was many cases where you'd run into that were frustrating, where you need, you know, gap or max width or stuff like that, where you'd have to go resort to CSS, which is a little frustrating. But now all that stuff is built right in. So I think it's just becoming, you know, even better. I'm really happy with this. Hope you guys are too. If there's no other questions, I think we're going to wrap it up. A solid hour and 42 minutes at the moment. So I appreciate all of you for sticking around. You're the best, Luke. Thank you, dude. Learn the code. Been great to chat with you, Tim. Let's see. I think Taylor, obviously Jim had to tear out. Kyle tore out. But thank you guys so much for sticking around. And there's going to be more videos. Stay tuned tomorrow. Can't you stayed for your man one? I didn't catch that. I thought you said stayed for you, man. You're hilarious, Luke. All right. Bye for now. See you guys later. Peace.